This is the third LEGO Star Wars lightsaber set in 5 years with Luke Skywalker's lightsaber from Return of the Jedi. It's set 40730 with 145 pieces, and LEGO.com values it at $22. However, you can't buy it for that price because it's a gift with purchase with the $500 UCS Jabba sail barge during its release window while supplies last. So this is going to be a pretty limited run set, and if you don't get it with that Jabba sail barge, you're very likely going to have to pay well over $100 on the secondary market if the previous two lightsabers are any indication. Now, I did say this was the third lightsaber in 5 years, with the original in 2020 being Yoda's lightsaber tied with the Mos Eisley Cantina, 2021 being Luke's lightsaber tied with the UCS AT-AT, and then there's this mysterious 2-year gap for the UCS Razor Crest and UCS Venator where they didn't do any buildable promo or buildable lightsaber promo at all, and here we are back in 2024 alongside Jabba's sail barge getting this Luke's lightsaber promo. Now, I don't know if you guys know this about me, but I've got this miraculous ability to recognize patterns, and the pattern I've picked up on with these very cool lightsaber promos is that LEGO only ever makes them to accompany the original trilogy UCS sets for the second half of the year, versus sets like the UCS Venator where you just get some really lame patches. And I just feel like that's wrong. These promos are really cool, but for some reason, they only come with original trilogy sets, and I just want to know why. That's all I want. I just want to know why. Someone somewhere has a reason for it at LEGO, and they don't want to tell us, but there's a pattern. And behind every pattern, there's probably a reason that the pattern's happening. And it's not because the Jabba sail barge or UCS AT-AT or Mos Eisley Cantina wouldn't have sold on day one without these promos, right? The Venator and Razor Crest were far riskier UCS sets than any of those original trilogy sets, so you would think they need a good promo to give them the extra push. But alas, they don't get that. So that's weird. Going forward with these promos, I've got a couple ideas that I think everyone can get behind, except maybe a few employees at LEGO. I want to see a new lightsaber hilt every year, without fail, whether or not the set they're releasing is original trilogy based or not. The bias has got to end at some point, right? And they should also stop tying these directly into the UCS set. It would be understandable if it was something that really felt like it was meant to go and pair with that set every time, but a lightsaber hilt is just so general that I feel like it should be more broadly available as a gift with purchase at something like a $200 threshold. There's got to be a threshold. It might be still kind of expensive, but it's a lot better than the current alternative where you have to buy the $850 AT-AT or $500 Jabba sail barge to be able to get something like this whenever they come out with it. So those are my two recommendations to LEGO Star Wars to make people like this more, short of just selling them for $20, but we'll get to that at the end of the video. Now, that sidebar has no effect on how good or bad the actual product in front of us is. I just think it's important that people know what's going on. Now, let's talk about the box. I think it's a great looking 18+ box. The green glow behind the lightsaber, of course, is the perfect color. The back of the box is just a different angle of the lightsaber with a small scene from the movie and the measurements, just simple as can be. Inside the box of this set, you're going to find 3 numbered bags and a 32 stud long Technic rod that's going to run the entire length of the lightsaber, and then you've got a pretty nice instruction manual for a gift with purchase. It's even got a UCS style write-up at the very beginning about Luke's lightsaber. Definitely feels classy. The finished model is of course quite beautiful, and we'll compare it to the others in a minute, but I actually think it's better as a standalone than when it's next to the others. I'll explain why later, but on its own, when you take it off the stand, it's quite a nice, accurate looking Luke's lightsaber from Return of the Jedi. We've got the switch here with red and green. I assume it's off and on, but yeah, it actually fits really nicely in your hand. It's definitely a natural feel there to put your hand down near the switch. You've got more of the grip up here, and I think it's got the proper amount of sections, which is great to see. On the top end, the design for the emitter is very nice. Also got that touch of gold, but they leave it open-ended where you could totally bring your own green cylindrical pieces and build out your own lightsaber blade. So if you wanted to get all that together, it's certainly something that you could add on to this build just by taking off a couple of pieces there. So definitely like that, although I know some people wish the entire blade was included. I actually think the hilt on its own makes more sense for the type of product that this is. And if we look to the bottom, we've got the belt ring, so you can attach it to your pants if that's how you want to walk around with it, I guess. And yeah, just definitely overall looks very nice. There is a Easter egg inside of this one, and I have B-roll of it, but why not just maybe break it open to show you. The kyber crystal should be hidden in here. There it is. Very nice and bright translucent green there. So it's very cool to have the kyber crystal inside of the lightsaber. Just that extra Easter egg is really neat. They actually also did this on the previous Luke's lightsaber, so this isn't something particularly unique to this set, but just maybe continuing something great that they started with the previous model. So taking another look at the whole thing, it is actually a pretty flimsy feeling lightsaber. Now, you may think that's a problem. I don't think it's a huge problem because this is a display piece. It's meant to go right on its stand and sit inside of your display case or on your shelf. It doesn't really matter, but the point is it's not necessarily a play set that you're going to be waving around, and yeah, you could definitely do that if you want to. It's not necessarily going to fall apart, but it definitely has a bit more bend to it than the previous versions. I'll show that a little bit more in a minute, and that brings us to our stand because of course this is a display set, so it does need a little stand here, and on the very front it says Luke Skywalker's Lightsaber, Return of the Jedi. Now there's no studs that you connect the lightsaber hilt to, you just lay it into the stand there and it sits perfectly fine. You can turn it a little bit, but I do like to put it the way the box shows it. Regardless of what I'm about to say, this is still a really cool trio that displays really nicely with one another. And each model on its own is very accurate to the lightsaber it's supposed to represent, and it certainly is not something that I expect out of LEGO Star Wars, that everything be in scale with one another, but when I was looking at some of the imagery for these lightsabers, trying to figure out if this new one was accurate, basically, I noticed that the new Luke's lightsaber might be a bit bigger than it should be. And this is definitely noticeable when you put the lightsabers next to each other. It just looks absolutely massive in comparison. It's not so big that I find it unforgivably annoying, but it definitely was a thing with the original two that they were so nicely in scale with one another, and that's definitely out of the window here. Now, when it comes to the display stands, I think they took a misstep with that first Yoda's lightsaber, and they toned it back for the 2021 Luke's lightsaber, and I think that design looked way better. They've carried over the exact same design for 2024 here, but the bad part about it is actually what they've written on the display plaque. It says LEGO Star Wars Luke Skywalker's Lightsaber, Return of the Jedi, for no reason, because the original version didn't say Luke Skywalker's lightsaber, Empire Strikes Back. Yoda's lightsaber doesn't say Yoda's lightsaber, Revenge of the Sith, or whatever movie they're intending it to be from. It just makes the new Luke's lightsaber display a little bit less clean than it was previously, and it's just totally unnecessary. Any fan that's buying this sort of thing already knows it's the one from Return of the Jedi, and so I feel like that's a misstep, and maybe the biggest misstep on this entire set. Well, maybe outside of the way it's available, depending on how you feel about being a gift with purchase when you buy a $500 UCS set, only really during the first week of its availability, versus being able to buy these directly from LEGO or off store shelves for say $20 or $25. I went back and I read the comments from my old lightsaber reviews, and one of the most common comments was certainly that I would buy so many different lightsaber hilts if LEGO just sold them and didn't make them a gift with purchase, only available with multi-$100 UCS sets for like 7 days every couple of years. And I 1000% agree with that. However, I think the reason that LEGO only makes these gift with purchases is because they're not allowed to sell them. Most people know that LEGO apparently isn't allowed to sell minifigures on their own. That's why there's no LEGO Star Wars CMF, and I would imagine the reason that you can't just go out and buy this Luke's lightsaber or this Luke's lightsaber is because LEGO isn't allowed to sell lightsabers and another company holds the exclusive rights to sell lightsabers, which means LEGO can give them away for free, or maybe they could possibly include it as a part of a bigger kit or set. So that's just a guess. You know, I don't know that. There's no information on that as far as I'm aware. To go ahead and rate this one, I don't quite think I can give it 100%. I do wish it was still more in scale with the previous versions of lightsabers, although if you don't own them, you don't care. And I wish it didn't say Return of the Jedi on the plaque because, like, yeah, obviously, but I'd give it a generous 9.2, 9.3 out of 10. Let me know what you guys think about it in the comments section below. If you enjoyed, hit the like button, and you can check out more LEGO Star Wars reviews on the end screen now.